All right, guys, welcome back into a game three of Evil Geniuses versus Life in the Detolic Pro League 4th edition. Winner advances in cup number one for this week towards points and $1,000 greater towards the overall prize pool. EG not able to take that one handily as both Crit and Link had an out of control game for Life, and Sin not doing too bad himself, able to pick off MSS as much as he was struggling early on into the game. But it all comes down to this, both advantages wiped away.
Yeah, it's an even playing field now. EG takes game one, Live takes game two, and now it's down to the wire for one of these teams. Someone's not going to have a chance to compete for that $1,000 prize and more points to be able to be eligible for the grand finals. So, I don't know. The drafts have been great, in my opinion. I don't feel like anybody specifically outdrafted the other person or anything like that. It all comes down to execution, and both teams, they're executing really well. In game one, we saw Evil Geniuses get off to a rough start, but after that, Jo just absolutely snowballed on the Luna, and everybody else did well in their lanes. So that was a really good execution out of their part. Next game, Live, they realize they have to take the game early. They don't give a chance for Jo to farm up that Alchemist at all in the game in 25 minutes or something like that. So they executed very well. And now both teams kind of have a little bit of insight to how the other teams are playing, kind of what their drafts are like. And we'll see how it goes, who's going to take this. But once again, Troll, he's banned out. He gets no love in the picks.
I think he's proven himself to be a really good hero. Although he doesn't have a farm mechanism early on in the game, other than his whirling axes, it still catches up, and he's able to take fights he probably has no right in taking. And when it comes down to the RNG, I think it's just too much to handle. Bat slips through yet again. Elder Titan will get taken away this time around. So it's going to be a shakeup in the dynamic. No ET as we saw him in game one, game two be the first pick of choice. Really now getting pushed from a later tier pick in the Western meta to a first tier pick. A lot of that due to Ace having him just be a number one pickup immediately at the introduction of that league even. They didn't wait at all, and now he's a first ban.
5 seconds remaining.
I'm very impressed with all of the just individual performances so far. You usually see Cinderin as a hard support or in the jungle or something to that regard, but he's been mid in both of these games, and I think he's done fairly well. Even being a stand-in on Live, the communication does seem there for Light. Crit has just played out of his mind, first on the Naga, second on the Rubik, and then you have Ace, who always seems to perform really well in that support role. He just does great. Link is an incredibly hard farmer. He seems to excel very well at that. He picks his battles. He has that sixth sense to kind of know when any ganks are coming his way. And then you have Fear. Very, very good at drafting. You have Fogged, who's great. Last game, the IO was kind of hit or miss, but still, he had Alchemist tethered up all the time. He kept him alive through some really sticky situations, but it just couldn't work out for them. Jo, he did great on that Luna first game. Alchemist, he had a very rough game and couldn't really get that momentum going at all. MSS, good hook shots. Same with Universe, really good lassos on that Batrider. But there wasn't any follow-up. There was no damage really there to be had. But they were there. They were trying to do something. They were trying to provide space for Jo. It just didn't pan out for them. But really great, solid performances, not only as a team, but as individuals
10
too.
seconds remaining.
And now Naga gets picked up as a result of slipping on through. I think the reason why EG found so much success in game one wasn't so much the hero selection as it was their ability to take fights with that particular lineup. That Witch Doctor, while being a niche pocket pick, really played well for them, allowed them to lock things down and really just engage. But when they're disengaged and they can't really fight an ET 1v1 or even lock him down, and even if they did get the picks on him, it didn't matter. They still weren't able to fight and lock down as much as they probably desired to, and as a result, Lynx spiraled out of control. They tried to take an early aggressive fight, very trademark to NA Dota, dive behind the tier 1 and just went all in, and it didn't pay off. And I think that's where it kind of just got out of their hands, is they needed to have an even keel game, and had Link not shown up there, I think we were looking at an entirely different landscape. While Link would have continued to free farm, he wouldn't have had quite as much gold and experience to his person. Then Universe shows up bot lane, against a level like 6 or 7 Shadow Fiend at that time, walks right up to Link, and Link is like, I don't think you understand how far ahead I am. Let me show you, and just right-clicked him down.
Come at me, bro. Basically, that's the short version of it, was just come at me. And that's... He just didn't realize, like you said, Universe just didn't realize how far ahead Link actually was at that point. So it was two really unfortunate events for EG that really did help Link get that snowballing up. But we'll see if he has as good of a game this time. Batrider is picked up. We have seen Batrider in all 3 games, so the team's really wanting to pick the hero and not ban him out. You can't really disagree with that. Troll, ET, IO, and OD are all very respectable and solid bans, to say the least. So as a result, strong heroes like Batrider and Darkseer slip through the bans, and they are picked up. So far the drafts look really great. The Naga is picked up once again. And with that Naga Siren, as well as the Darkseer picked up, you already see some really decent team fight out of EG.
I think it just had to be this way. While ET is banned, Darkseer becomes the next viable offlane choice, and the team who would have the option of picking him each time has elected to go a farmer of some sorts instead. Like Batrider moves over into the jungle. He's still more of a core role than he is support more than anything. And then you have ET against him as his counterpart off lane, and therefore Darkseer just didn't fit into any of these lineups. However, we do see the wombo combo element of the Siren Sleep coming into play against the Vacuum. See how well they can execute it. That's really what this all hinges on. We haven't seen a lot of lineups of Vacuum because you miss out on a lot of the damage that it does do, but if the wall of replica is up, the illusions are made. You're talking about a lot of damage in a short span of space. I imagine that EG then could go with the gyro here and be just fine. Very standard lineup. And they probably at this stage should play it safe. The winner will get eliminated, and there are no second chances in this particular week's worth of play.
Life is here trying to defend their title after taking the first place in the last season of West, and they've really got their work cut out for them this time ever. You have insane high-skilled teams, not only with Evil Geniuses today, you've got Speed Gaming later on, you also have Dignitas, and then who else is in them? We have Empire, we have Fnatic, we have DD, and I'm missing 1 or 2 teams. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Who else is in this? Empire. There's one more.
Did you miss Speed?
No, I got Speed. Oh, gosh. I'm going to have to check out the website. It's one more team. I can't think of who it is though. It's just
Crew. It's
Virtus Pro.
Later on, Virtus
there we
Pro
go.
Is indeed. We're waiting on scheduling their match because of what was going on with Star Ladder this week. So we will see exactly how we can schedule that in. We'll definitely get it out to you guys. We're gonna have a lot of games to play, especially after today, with the brackets shaping up. And Life, understanding that Gyro is probably the best option, bans it through. Really good job of these teams getting the feel for one another. And it's another Shadow Fiend, so Link, round 2, ready to go. Visage this time going to be supporting him, and that's a little bit of a shakeup. But still, EG's going to have their work cut out.
But now you see the Shadow Fiend picked up 3rd, so you do have a decent amount of time to respond to that. You already have the Darkseer and the Naga, who are fairly decent, I feel, against this lineup that Life has. When you're pushing in and you're trying to do early pushes and an early advantage as Life, you're going up against a Darkseer wall and a Naga Siren ultimate for EG, and I feel like that's a pretty decent response to what Life did last game. If they had that Darkseer, if they had the Naga, they might have had an easier time defending against those pushes and being able to turtle up. But Life, they've got to have some confidence here, picking that Shadow Fiend once again for Link, and we'll see if Evil Geniuses can respond to that. And Lifestealer is immediately picked up after that. Lifestealer can provide quite a bit early game, and those raises are going to help, or rather the rage is going to help against those raises that Shadow Fiend is only going to be able to deal that right-click damage and not be able to burst with that raise as well. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. I feel a little worried for Life going this lineup once again with the Shadow Fiend. They won with it once, but maybe Evil Geniuses can actually combat against it this time.
If we don't see a clock pickup here for MSS in the middle lane, I don't imagine it makes it through to the final stage. Clock is too good against Shadow.
He's banned for the Shadow Fiend pickup too.
Yeah, it seems silly. No wonder Life then goes into Shadow Fiend. All that makes perfect legitimate sense. I like the THD ban, nullifying the Darkseer combo, and this is the first time we're going to see Timber in a while since our Eastern stages of Natalic.
Do you wonder if maybe EG was planning on picking up that SF, and that's why they banned Clock Out? But Life had first pick into the next
Yeah, I'm
draft.
assuming because of the pick shuffle.
Yeah. Tough call. Timbersaw, though. Very exciting.
Yeah, no, really takes away statistics of a lot of heroes. It nullifies a lot of their worth out once you steal those stats, and it causes a lot of disruption in team fights. The slow from Chakram is not to be underestimated, and again, we see the niche pick up in the Witch Doctor. Will couple with a Lifestealer Naga, a lot of lockdown potential coming out of EG. Life needs a legitimate stun. They don't have anything here except for Batrider Lasso.
They really do. I like the Witch Doctor pickup as well. It's great for locking down that Shadow Fiend. EG ran with it in game 1 as well. It proved to be very effective in that game as well. So they definitely have somebody to play, and they definitely have somebody that knows how to play that Witch Doctor well. Despite getting picked off a little bit early on in that trailing with the Luna and the Bane, he still did wonders late game. He set up his ward while being in the woods multiple times, so he was out of the danger zone and was able to get off all that damage from the death ward. So worked out really well for EG, and they're going to go with it again. Lifestealer didn't get any action in the previous 2 games. Same with Darkseer. But I think he's going to work out really well in this game. Timbersaw is going to be tough to take down with the reactive armor, but there's a lot of focus on him that during that time, while they're trying to deal with Timbersaw, Shadow Fiend's going to be able to dish out a lot of damage. So you have to either ignore the Shadow Fiend or ignore the Timbersaw, and most likely they're going to gun for the Shadow Fiend, and during that time, Timbersaw is just going to be a complete pest to EG.
Life intelligent enough to ban out that Storm Spirit, not wanting to see a Spirit Bomb get loaded up in form of Lifestealer, though Puck is still in the pool. I have to imagine it's going to be their last pickup here. I don't know what else is that good in terms of initiation. It would have been fine on a bat, but I think a Puck is even more acceptable. They'll be able to silence through. Darkseer Vacuum will potentially allow for more targets, to be chained up. It's just not going to be an easy lane against Timbersaw is the only downside. Life needing to pick up one additional support. Rubik's still in the pool. There's Lina, CM, there's a whole lot they could go. They went CM game 1. I thought it panned out fine for them. Really, they combated everything that was going on until that 20-minute marker, and then things got out of control. But that Nova shuts down a whole lot of teams' mobility. It's just too good. It deals a lot of damage as well at the early stages. Might just coincide with what Shadow Fiend is trying to do. Does give them a soft lockdown and Frostbite as well, so maybe something that they're looking for, but if not, the only time, in my opinion, you pick up something to the effect of a Lina is if you're looking to shut down push, which I don't think EG is showing. It's going to be a Baden. So that is going to be an interesting pickup here that we haven't seen much of except for in a support role, and he's a really good support at that. And Weaver, the final pickup from EG to go that mid side.
The Weaver pickup was intelligent, honestly, because there's not a lot of lockdown on Life. You have basically nothing other than that Flaming Lasso. Weaver is going to be able to move in and out of these fights completely free to do whatever he wants. Abaddon will keep Shadow Fiend alive, but I feel like the Abaddon pick weakened Life's lineup a lot, to be honest. I think Evil Geniuses has a little bit better of a lineup. They have a safer lineup, in my opinion. When you pick Shadow Fiend, it is a little risky. Whereas EG, they have the Nakes and they have the Weaver to rely on. And then you have 3 heroes who excel incredibly well in these team fights. So we'll see how it ends up working out for both teams, but the game is underway, so let's go ahead with some introductions. For the Radiant side, that's going to be EG, MSS on the Weaver. Fear is going to be on the Naga Siren. Fogged on the Witch Doctor once again. Universe is going to be your off lane as always. This time on the Darkseer. And finally, Jo, he wants to carry again. He's going to be on Nakes, and he's got work cut out for him. He's got to get that farm up. He did well on the Luna last 2 games ago. Like he said, Alchemist wasn't too great, and we'll see if the Nakes can live up to that expectation.
For Team Life, Fate on the Abaddon. Crit supporting Visage. We have Syndrin mid lane on Timbersaw. Link carrying Shadow Fiend. Ace on the bat. And now a little bit of a catch out going on Ace. They're trying to catch up, but not able to lock him down.
Interesting stat. Yeah, Witch Doctor is not heavily favored, but I like that EG has decided to pick him up twice. I think he is an incredibly strong hero. You can't really discount what casks do, the damage as well as the stun. You have to split apart, otherwise it's going to stun you. It's also really effective against someone like Io. When they TP in, you just pop the cask right on top of the 2 heroes that TP in, and they're stunned out. So really effective in that regard as well. But the lanes are starting to form. Link is going to be the safe lane up here, looking to get a lot of experience in gold once again. The experience is going to be hindered just a little bit because he is going to have to share it with another hero or two, but he's still going to be able to get that farm. He's going up against Universe. Universe isn't going to be able to do too much in this lane, and the Ion Shell isn't going to really be affecting Link too much.
So although they had to expend Firefly immediately there, I think that's going to be fine. They were able to take out the Sentry because they understood that Ace was going to be jungle side with Bat instead of in an off lane that he would not be positioned to handle. It's going to allow Universe to go one-on-one with Link. Link should be fine here. He's at a big enough range as long as he gets his last hits rolling early. He's going to have enough spirits to just kind of eat through the damage he needs to build up that soul count. So very hard early game for Shadow Fiends to get on the ball, but once they do, look for him to be a huge impact player. And the Bat will now have an easier time on the jungle. Abaddon going to provide help, not only stacking, but really the shielding, the AoE, the extra life it provides. It's going to be all gravy over here in the jungle.
He's going to really get those levels up very quickly.
Cinderin in trouble, actually going to yield first blood mid lane. MSS diving way deep, has tower focus on it, and able to drop the aggro in time before that last hit came raining down on him.
It's been MSS versus Cinderin every single time, right? Every single time in the mid lane, they've just been duking it out.
I think all but game one, maybe not, but possibly.
Yeah, I'm not sure about game one. Game two for sure, but I'm pretty sure they did in game one as well. Because I remember Cinderin was definitely
game
mid.
One was that exchange between Luna.
Was MSS on bottom?
Yeah, they went on Mirana, and then like Mirana was able to turn it away and leap. So no, it was not first blood on Cinder in game one.
Okay.
Poor Sid, man. It's been 2 games, all right, not 3.
I'm sorry, Sin. I'm so sorry. I'm a huge fan. Okay. Mid again though. MSS just laying down that harassment. Cinderin definitely is going to have a hard time in this lane, already having to pop the solve to be able to stay in the lane against MSS. Top lane doing just fine. Universe is able to stay close enough, and look at the creeps just chase down Link. That's got to be pretty frustrating as a range hero to just get blasted out from that Ion Shell. Crit hanging out nearby to just assist Link if he needs anything. Batrider still in the jungle. Take a look at bottom lane. It's empty in terms of a resistance, so Jo is able to get those last hits, already sitting at 17. And now we have a little bit of a contest coming down. Fate looking to defend against this, but what can he honestly do as an Abaddon? He's just going to sit here and get an experience. That's all he can do.
I think it'll be fine. I mean, Universe is going to grab some farm. Really good Darkseer player, I have to mention as well. He's going to get farm no matter what you do against this lane, but still, Link is going to have no issues whatsoever. Fate actually makes a move onto this bot lane, seeing what he can do up against Jo one-on-one. Taking a lot of damage thus far, just going to need to be careful. He can obviously remove the open wounds. You know, if it applied at the appropriate time, but if he's not careful, he's just going to get completely dunked by Jo, turning on rage and just fast attacking through.
Cinderin is still taking heavy amounts of harassment. He does have the Stealth Shield to negate some of that, but you have 2 attacks coming from MSS every once in a while, and it's just tough to deal with. Cinderin is completely out of regions at this point, and he's just trying to stay in the lane. He's got some support coming by. It's going to be Fate, realizing Fate doesn't want to be on that bottom lane against the Nakes, so he heads to the mid lane rather to try and support, but it's rough. Just every chance that MSS gets, he just pops Cinderin. And there's the solve, transferring that over from the Abaddon, so that's going to help Cinderin stay in the lane, but he's sitting at 7 CS. Meanwhile, Weaver is at 20, so able to get the CS as well as to continue to harass Cinderin out of the lane.
Link, catching up in a hurry, actually hops himself above the 20 last hit marker right there, and Lifestealer is going to have to now start worrying that the souls are rolling. He's going to need to be very efficient with the time and space he has now in order to fight, as I don't feel like they have as good of an initiation as they would if it were puck middle, but Weaver is a fine way to bomb through, so Jo really going to use the infest early on, more for damage, I feel like, than the initiation. But MSS is going to be able to take fights Weavers normally wouldn't be able to take, taking advantage of that early game experience by being out of the middle lane, and as well as some farm, having first blooded the Synderen. Yeah.
The Synderen. There's only one. Top lane Universe took quite a beating out of that Visage as well as the Shadow Fiend, and this just gives Shadow Fiend open playing field on this top lane. Able to almost keep up with Nakes, but Darkseer is being a little bit of a pest. 32 CS on the Nakes, 26 on the Shadow Fiend. So Nakes is doing pretty good. Jo, he's an incredibly good farmer. He does have that Hand of Midas, so he's going to be able to get the farm up faster with that. And I don't think this game is going to go well for Live. From the starts of it, you do have Shadow Fiend farming, but mid, Synderen is just getting completely blitzed out of the lane. MSS diving in once again with the Shikuchi with the auto attacks. And Synderen, he's out of region once again. It's so tough for him in this lane.
He's got reactive armor now. I think it's a little bit better for his cause. I wouldn't go so far as to say that the longer this game goes on, because you have to remember, Link is just getting his Raze rolling. So now that Raze is rolling, look for him to eclipse very quickly the lifesteal. He's already caught up as where he was behind by about a count of 10. So it's just going to start avalanching, and they do have a snowball team. Timber, very much a snowball hero as well. If he grabs an early Bloodstone, there's nothing an opposing team can really do to lock that down at that stage. And if you see Link again come up with some form of early BKB, they're not going to be able to keep a handle on him. And he's already has, let's see, he's going to go Treads again immediately on. Ring of Regen, I wonder if, I mean, this is very indicative of Vlad's, but why?
Who are you talking about? Getting Treads? Link is?
No. Link grabbing, yeah, I think he's going to get Treads, but Ring plus Regen indicates Vlad's? That's a very confusing thing going on right there. Okay, he separates it and then actually just moves it into Tranquil Boots, and I imagine he'll just disassemble it again later, and he's just using it to stay in lane.
Yeah, that's fine. It will help out with the harassment just a little bit. Bottom lane, push is going to come down in full swing. Not really much that Live can do against that. Synderen is going to start to rotate down there and let the Abaddon get a few levels. Abaddon only sitting at level 2 right now. So, again, I wasn't a huge fan of the Abaddon pickup. He hasn't really had a role or a place in the game so far. But late game, he is going to be effective. Early game, that laning phase is a little bit weaker. He needs the levels, and he needs to be able to save those heroes, but he's getting off to a little bit of a rough start. EG doing pretty well in these lanes so far. 54 CS on the Batrider. Nakes sitting at 49, so Nakes and Shadow Fiend dead even at this point. Like you said, the Shadow Fiend's going to be able to get those CS up. So a little bit of a slower game so far. Both teams very focused on farming up right now, getting Jo the farm, getting Link the farm. The tier 1 tower on top is going to take a beating, but I don't imagine it's going to go down right now.
Pressure being applied. Shadow Fiend has now eclipsed the Lifestealer, and they might just go trading tier 1s for tier 1s shortly. Shadow Fiend with that plus 62 damage coming down like a hammer on this early tier 1 is able to raise out the lane. Universe finally shows back up, recognizing that he needs to defend a bit, but I don't know if there's going to be much he can do soon. So Stack's already up in the jungle. Link going to take advantage of that. Really good support system coming down for him. Lands all 3, and now is the benefactor of a whole large gold jump. Did in fact deconstruct, turn that over into the treads. 1200 on his person. I was supposed to say 12k. Yeah, 8 minutes in, 12k, no big deal.
It's Link. He can make that happen.
1200 on his person. But he is more than likely going to go just into an early BKB, try and man fight through what the Naga can push out, because I think in this instance, Life is indeed the beatdown. I just don't know how well EG can take on the early fights, other than the fact that they have the Lifestealer. Darkseer doesn't grab his team fight ultimate until later. Weaver doesn't have much in the way of damage items. While they do have shutdown in both Naga and Witch Doctor, I don't know if the damage is quite there to substantiate early team fight wins.
Things are gonna be going down here pretty shortly. The The Blink Dagger is now picked up on Ace, so possibly going to see some rotations out of him soon. 9-minute Blink Dagger in the jungle, not too shabby in that regard. And it looks like the sight is set on the mid lane. It's MSS. He does have the time lapse available though. If they can lock down him long enough with the Flaming Lasso, there might just be enough damage output there to be able to do it, but you gotta worry because the Naga is here, not yet level 6 to save MSS, but can at least throw down a net to help out in that regard. And Bat's backing up. He realizes that the opportunity is just not quite there yet. Meanwhile, Link takes down a tower on the top lane. He's sitting at 47 in the net worth, overpowering the Nakes at this point, who's sitting at 44. The Hand of Midas, though, will help to keep him up to par at least a little bit with that Shadow Fiend. Without the Hand of Midas, I think it would be a much bigger gap.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Now, Sin still trying to get back into this last hit game. He's got a few items to his name. At least he has Boots and Bottle. He's got Wand. Will be able to kind of jolt himself up, deal a lot in the way of true damage, which is what you need to take down MSS early. They have to just kind of hold him in place, lock him down enough. They do have the bat. I think they do indeed have enough burst. Narrowly misses Whirling Death on MSS, who is coming on in. There's a sentry, but it's on MSS's side of the board to kind of make sure he doesn't get picked off in the process of just throwing up Shikuchi in between lane. Universe been very active on the mid lane, recognizes he can't do much against Link now. If he throws up the shields, they're just going to get torn away. So Universe will indeed back off while Link is set to free farm this out. Shortly should finish this BKB, just going on recipe now, has 400G towards it.
You've got to get the damage up on the Nakes as well as the Weaver because it's going to be fairly difficult to kill the heroes on life side. You're going to have the mech on the Visage, which is going to help out quite a bit. Timbersaw is going to be tough to take down, and Abaddon's going to be able to save the Shadow Fiend as well as himself with that time lapse. And now, Link, they're going to have a go on him. Fear pops the Nagasara and ultimate crits stuck in the battlefield as well. Universe in there. I don't know if they have enough to be able to take him down. The Familiars are there to help out, and the Familiars go down. Universe taking heaps of damage, but Link, he gets stuck in the Death Ward. Death Ward's going to go ahead and finish him off. Same with Visage. Ace trying to do something in there. Firefly might just save his life here. He's juking around. The Familiar is able to pick off Fear in the meantime, and Ace, he looks to be out of danger and should get away just fine. 2 for 2. The Shadow Fiend and the Visage go down. Darkseer and Naga. You take down the Shadow Fiend, which is pretty good for EG.
That Witch Doctor ult. Good lord.
There was
Ate
nothing
them
to
alive.
stop it. I mean, what do you have? You have Flaming
well, that's
Lasso.
What I said. You have Lasso. That's,
Yeah.
You have Lasso. That is.
It's gonna
that's
go
your out.
off.
And it doesn't matter what you do in terms of BKB. I like it here. I do. The Maledict early on, superior magic, really solid in terms of damage. Jo having a little bit of a ring around the rosy session on bottom here from the looks of it with Fate. This is gonna be funsies once we unpause. And Fate is still not quite level
He's
6.
not.
So.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
should be a kill for Jo. You don't even have the shield available for another
Open
5
Wounds
seconds.
isn't up though.
That's
and
true. Yeah, good
He
point.
was able to pull it, but still, it's not like he's got a basher this early, thankfully. Synderen has arc boots. He's catching up in a hurry too. I really like what Life is doing, even though that they lost their Shadow Fiend right there. I think it's fine. He's still got 2,300 to his name, almost 2,400
go.
off of the 2 supports dying in there.
And Fate's just gonna TP. He's like, I want nothing of this. I really feel like Jo might have been able to get the kill there because he had Phase boots and Abaddon only had boots. So regardless, he would have been able to chase him down. And now, mid lane though, Ace, he's got the bugs attacking him. I don't think he's gonna make it out of this alive. Yeah, the bugs are just gonna eat him up. Cinder in there. Tower is not gonna kill those fast enough! Yes, it is! Ooh,
Drink bottle.
7.
That bottle, 8. It was 7? Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to have fun during a pause and say funsies, Barry.
I'm sorry. What did Barry say? I didn't see. I was.
Hey, he just quoted me saying
Oh.
funsies, and apparently I'm not allowed to say
Canadians
that.
don't like funsies, I guess.
Yeah, I know. My bad. There was a little bit of ring around the rosy going on. I thought it was entertaining. All right.
I agree.
You're just gonna have to deal with it.
We're just
Now,
gonna 2 for
Jo.
1 you, Barry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't fight this.
Drums finished up 1 aside actually. So now things are going to get rolling in terms of items. The mid game is going to be the point where we see a make or break moment come out of both teams. MSS is going to have to come up big on damage. Darkseer now has 1 level into the ultimate. At 11 he shall have 2 and therefore able to team fight. Mech to shortly follow, and kind of alleviate some of that AoE pressure that Link will apply. It certainly won't stop the autos, but if they can stifle the AoE just enough, they'll be able to live through that aphotic shield AoE on top of the Batrider flames. They have so much timber. If they can just nullify the Shadow Fiend ultimate, they do stand a chance to survive through a lot of the things that Timber will then do, as well as the others. That's the hope in at least picking up an early mech. But Universe doing a good job. 13 minutes in, it's not as early as we can normally see a Darkseer pick it up when he has some farm going, but against Link, he just had to leave the lane. There was nothing more he could do there. He had expent all of his resources. Once that magic damage gets enough to take down the Ion Shell, there's nothing he can do but walk.
Yeah, very true. The gold graphs right now, almost dead even. Just a very slight 1600 gold advantage for EG. So Hand and Midas kind of paying off in that regard for the Nakes there. Gold, or rather XP graphs, pretty decently there too. 3k advantage. It didn't look like EG was at that decent of an advantage early on. But, you know, Synderen, he's had a rough start early on in this mid lane. Couldn't quite get as much farm as the Weaver, but like you said, Timber's going to be just fine later on. He's got the mana boots now, so he's able to expend quite a bit. Now bottom lane, the ultimate goes up once again from Fogs, forces Fate off of this fight, but Synderen, he gets in there, he has the Timber Chain, goes ahead with the Rolling Death as well, should be able to chase Fog down, but the reinforcements arrive, and now in the backfield, Synderen, he gets out, but at what cost? The rest of the heroes are trying to get out of here alive. Chakram goes out, MSS throwing down a beating onto Synderen. The familiars are going to stave off any more of an engagement out of EG, and that's going to be it. The fight is over, and no blood was even spilled.
It's kind of a win for life, as long as they don't let them get out of control. Oh, familiar down there's 100G and blood spilt, I suppose. Not a bad bonus there from MSS to pick that up. Abaddon finally able to finish off his urn that he was looking for some time. Really, the Traveler of Worlds in this engagement has gone all the way from top jungle down to bottom, just trying to do what he can to stay relevant in this game while not leeching too much experience from either Link or Ace on the Batrider out of the jungle. Link now is staying put bottom side, and Batrider will look for a pick on top of Fear. Fear now trapped over in the trees. Really good positioning there. Will yield a kill. So Ace, really decent job there to just grab Fear out, catch him out of position, and move forward. Fear just trying to obtain some farm with his AoE and potentially just grab some more support items to benefit his team, and turned out all the worse for him.
Yeah, there was no way that Fear can make it out of there alive. Couldn't pop the ultimate before getting grabbed. After that, he was stuck in the trees, and if he had popped it, he still would have died just from the burning out of Batrider. So really great pickoff, caught Fear by surprise, and there was no response really available for that. Bottom lane is going to get pushed down here from Link. Link already finishing up that BKB, so done exceedingly well on the farm. But you know what? Jo is only 1,000, or rather 100 behind him. So really keeping up with Shadow Fiend. Mid lane, Synderen might just get picked off here. A net will do it. There goes net. Chakram getting pulled back to himself, but it might not be enough. The dive is going to come forth. Huge vacuum back into the midst of all these heroes, and there goes the Riptide to help secure the kill. The Island Shell eating them alive. Synderen goes down mid lane, but bottom tower is going to get taken down from Link. Jo trying to defend it, but can't really do anything against Link. Link with the 175 damage is just too much for Jo at this point of the game.
Jo's got a decent set of items that he's forming. He's used Midas to kind of get into the game, so some of that net worth is a bit jaded, I suppose, but even there, it's almost finishing up Armlet, will be able to try and lock down Link. If he can do that, his team will win a fight, and maybe they're banking on the fact that life is going to take a little bit longer to get going, is why they went into the Midas build onto the carry. So Jo will have the opportunity to catch up in terms of farm. Team fights aren't exactly being forced out, but engagements are happening per side. 7 kills, 17 minutes in, not as quick as game number 1, but things looking to speed up as all of life gathers around this tier 1. They have 2 heroes kind of missing. EG has all 5 there, and life recognizing that their heroes are elsewhere, with Synderen on bottom and Ace having no intentions of rotating onto middle, will elect to back off instead.
Both teams playing the dodge game at this point. 4-3, 18 minutes into this game. Definitely not the high action-packed games that we're kind of subject to in the first 2 matches, but it's kind of to be expected since you have, this is the last game between EG and Life, and somebody's going to get knocked out of this cup, and somebody's going to continue to move on. So there is $1,000 on the line, not from just this match, but they've got to fight through other teams, but this is the match that they have to get through, and for one team, it's not going to happen. And right now, it's an incredibly close game. Taking a look at the gold graphs once again, dead even now. Basically, Life is caught up in that regard. XP, just another slight advantage still for EG, but it's not something that's just hugely devastating for Life. And now, looks like we might have something coming down on the mid lane. Abaddon, Visage, as well as Shredder here. But there's a defense. Abaddon? I didn't stutter. I might have lagged. I don't think I stuttered.
Oh, okay, good. It must have been lag.
Okay. I know when I stutter, and I would admit it.
No worries. Team Life congregating on mid without Link this time. 4-man. They are also with 4 on the EG side. Jo on bottom. Link ports in. We're going to have a fight on our hands shortly. Ace looking for a pickup. Firefly activated. He's going to find Fogged if he takes it over the tree line. Can force staff out, but instead they elect to back off. Jo has arrived to the scene. Nothing coming out yet. Sin finishes up mech. Going a more defensive Timber build. Recognizes he can't spiral into the Bloodstone because of the early game losses. And now open wounds applied immediately. And they're going to be able to walk out of this. Aphotic Shield thrown up on Link. Stuns out of the Familiars. And they're going to back off. Chakram thrown will miss everyone and not be able to provide the initiation. They're still kind of lingering and looking for. Stuns on Familiars in 15 seconds. See if they can line something up here. And both sides playing this very cautiously. Even if Life does get a good engagement, they have to worry about Fear disengaging if they don't lock him down. And more than likely, that is what is set to happen. There's an Obs Ward on the other side of the river. And it's really making it hard for them to initiate without EG knowing everything that's going on, regardless of the map being in a nighttime state.
Yeah, obs on both sides for both teams, so no one really has the advantage here. It's basically just like the whole team. Both teams have map hack. They're able to see where each of them are, so it is hard to engage when everybody has that visibility available. And now we do see that the forces have kind of split up for EG. You've got to watch Ace, though. He's sneaking around. Could just potentially grab out somebody here. But the tower's going to go down. There he goes. Ace latches onto Jo. Jo, no time to pop the ultimate. Link with a huge ultimate of his own. Naga Siren going to pop that song. And Link is singled out because of that BKB. And now Ace, he gets away. Force staffed up onto the hill. He's going to be fine. Cinderin going to join his buddy up there with Jo. Hot on their heels. He's going to try and chase down Batrider. Ace, he gets picked off. One more right click. There it goes. And now Fate gets netted in the backfield out of fear. The Familiars trying to stun out MSS, manages to do so, but still Visage goes down. Oh man, that Naga Siren ultimate to single out the BKB to Link was just superb. Really great decision there out of fear.
And now MSS looking to kind of mosey on through the tree line over there, catch out the Familiars, but none of them will die. Geminate's such a good ability to take them down, and he's made use of it several times this game. That'll be the first tower that EG has managed to take of Life's, as Life has taken 2 of their own. Their mid, tier 1, not in such great shape. 208, just out of deny range. Engagement on bottom. Link in a lot of trouble by Jo. He's going to try and race car down Infest for the last hit, and Jo goes on a killing spree as a result. Carry for carry. Doesn't get sweeter than that for EG.
Before that engagement, Nakes was down 1,000 gold on the net worth compared to the Shadow Peen, and now you see the Nakes is actually up 1,000 gold. So that team fight, as well as the pickoff on bottom lane, spoke wonders for how well EG came out ahead on that team fight. 8-3 is a score now, 22 minutes into the game. 32 to 30 is the gold graph, so very slight difference there. XP graphs, you're starting to pull ahead now on EG side. 8k difference. Jo walks right past Crit. Crit's like, huh? What? Where is that an eggs? And it was indeed an eggs, but he was alone, so not really much he could do in that regard. Finally saw some action in this game, Ever. top lane. MSS, Fear might just get themselves stuck in a sticky situation. Ace could possibly run into something though. He's looking to get the pick off here. Blink goes in. Who is he going to go for? Tries to go for Fear. Manages to get netted down. TP's out and he goes to safety. He's just fine. Great response out of Fear and MSS. Ace just didn't have any support nearby to really follow through with that. Jayo takes tower on the bottom lane though.
Yeah, honestly, there's nothing they can do to Jayo with this race car build. Between the phase boots and this drum, he's going to be able to chase down anything to his heart's content. Able to actually kill one of those familiars as it was going down for a stun, funny enough. So even more gold added on to his already mounting advantage. Link, not having the game he did last time around, isn't doing too bad in terms of items. Didn't go the Yasha this time around prior to the lifesteal. And maybe he's concerned about living through these fights and just wants more of a lifesteal element to live. Satanic may be able to dig him out. And MSS going to get caught here. If Ace grabs a lasso, he'll be good to go, but he's too far away. Not going to be able to blink through and grab MSS, and even if he did, would it be enough damage immediately to kill, even with Link there, who's down a couple souls? And one thing I do have to note as well is the presence of the Dark Lord, while it is valuable this game, the only other thing doing what ET did in terms of the positioning here. Oh, Courier netted. Really good response there from Fear. Able to grab a pick off for his team. Another 175 advantage. They're just picking these things up left and right and really asserting dominance in the game. Unless Life has a good team fight, it's going to be hard to get in. But what I was going to say is Whirling Death is the only thing that is going to provide something similar to the aura that Elder Titan grabs. It'll take down some statistics, but it will not quite be as good as this resistance negatives that ET provides in team fights, as well as the AoE damage. I know Timber can do a lot, but really where Timber shines is about the 30-minute marker when he has absolutely all of his abilities up and ready to go. And we're going to see it prior to that as 2 levels are already in reactive armor. So he's ready to fight, and they need to make something happen as the tier 2 is under duress. Will go down to EG as Link still hard-pressed to show up here. Maybe they just don't feel comfortable yet with their Shadow Fiend not quite having as many items as they'd prefer.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend stayed top, tried to deal some damage to the tower, had to sack that tier 2, but it is a little risky going into these fights because EG is pretty darn strong at this point. You have level 14 on MSS, level 17 on Jayo, so the levels are there and the items are there to back that up as well. Ace scouting out this Roshan attempt that EG might have gone for. Can't really engage on that though. Link is starting to head back, fearing that the Roshan is going to come on through, but now MSS, he's going in, he has an X bomb inside of him. Fate looks to be in some trouble, does have his ultimate be popped if he needs to go to do so. There goes the ultimate, they just ignore him. He's gonna go down now, gets picked off very easily. Net goes down on Cinderin. Cinderin has tricks up his sleeves, he's gonna be fine. Net range is quite large, but it doesn't matter when you're up against a Timbersaw. A nice Abaddon pickoff. Everybody else stayed out of the danger zone. But these small wins for EG is just going to keep on pulling them ahead in this game against Live.
I think the bottom line for me is that Syndra needed to do better in that middle lane to win the lane for them and didn't have the luxury of doing so. He hasn't won a mid lane today yet against MSS, and it's causing all sorts of problems now that MSS is coming in with kind of, I don't want to say an overabundance of farm, but he's certainly more farm than Cinderin is able to provide in the team fights. And the longer Sin can stay in there, the better off they're going to be in terms of just AoE and time. Timbersaw's abilities come right back up. He can chakra him up to 2 times or even Whirling Death. We're talking about changing the entire dynamic of how the team fights will operate. And now EG smoked up, moving towards mid lane. The tower was at 200 HP. Fortification to buy time to get this off, and they have no idea what's coming. This is going to be brutal. They might even be able to open up with Fear ultimate. Tower goes down. They're attempting to back off. Syndrin will find Fear. Not much they can do. The chase is on. Jayo pops up the charges, and now Ace trying to get away. Everyone has Weaver bugs on him, so the revelation is there. They can see clear as day. Jayo so incredibly quick. Link will go down here, and EG now takes a firm control over this game.
Fear not able to kind of see the vision on the or Visage rather there, so couldn't pick him off, but take down the Shadow Fiend, take down the Bat Rider. Really, really good pickoffs there. And these small just pickoffs, you haven't seen a huge team fight happen yet, but these small pickoffs, especially on Link, are going to be doing a lot of damage to life in the long run. Already you have a really decent lead for EG, and it's just going to get even more and more difficult. MSS running behind the backfield. Synderen, he's going to have to Timber Chain out of here. Does do so. The reinforcements are there to back him up, but they're going in. Jo deep into the base, pops the armlet. They're chasing him down. Timbersaw, so slippery though. It's hard to take him down. Visage is going to have to sacrifice his own life to save Synderen. The heroes are not back up for Shadow Fiend and Bat Rider though. Tier 2 tower is gonna fall. Another easy kill for EG.
Tower is under attack. Dire structures are fortified.
Push forthcoming. They need to just go ahead and get up the hill once all these tier 2s are routed out, as well as the Roshan, as quickly as possible because of this advantage. The advantage now in terms of gold grab headed towards the 10k marker, and this is going to be EG's window to finish Jo. Too much of a monster to deal with that. Once that Abyssal Blade comes down on the Shadow Fiend will have to stay in man fight. And this time around, he goes for a crit build, but will it be enough to kind of tank through? They recognize what's going on. Maybe want an Aegis Knight, vacuum in from Universe, won't be able to get the Aegis, and they knew exactly what was going on. Net from downtown from Fear. I'm not quite sure. Oh, it was spotted out by the bug. That's exactly how it happened. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't quite see the vision. The bugs are kind of elusive, I guess, more or less, in being able to see them sometimes with player names and health bars in the way. And now Nake's Bomb loaded up, MSS moving in, Bat blinks over to safety. They'll be able to rat out the last tier 2 if they elect to do so, but instead it looks like they're going to go on the tier 3 immediately. And they know they have the advantage too. I'm not sure what Life can do to stop this.
I don't know what they can do either, honestly.
Grab and pick, I guess?
You have buybacks. Bat Rider, Shadow Fiend, Abaddon, they can buy back, but that just sets them further back. And now MSS, he goes in, Jo pops out, Synderen trying to make it out for a lot of Nyx rather, is going to be just fine. Visage, sorry, not Nyx. But Timbersaw goes down. MSS diving deep, has really no fear with the Lincolns as well as the time lapse. Jo still has the Aegis available to him. Also has an Abyssal Blade, so he's going to be able to deal heaps of damage in this fight. Tier 3 tower is going to go down for sure. What can they do, Ever? What can they do?
I'm not sure. Ultimate out of Fear. Split up, Darkseer wall. They're trying to, you know, line this up, but they don't even really need to. MSS able to take down Shadow Fiend, Link buyback immediately. Now, Ace goes down as well. They're not going to be able to defend at all. GG is called out. And that's the end of the game, guys. EG takes the engagement 2-0 at what looked to be Life's comeback. They didn't have too bad of a game 1. Game 3 didn't quite go their way, and EG will advance in Cup number 1 for Natalic Pro League 4. Stick around, guys. Speed Gaming versus Dignitas up next. My name is Ever, joined alongside by Prove Attitude. And we will move into the next set of games shortly. Lobby's going to be loaded up. Stick around. You can find me on Twitter at EverX and Prove at ProveDota. Also, Barry on Stats today will be on casting as well throughout this entire event. You can find him at The Barry Nation.